You are listening to Radio Belvaspata, South Africa. This show is dedicated to those who live and love from the heart in infinite ways. In today's episode, we will discuss, share, gain insights, and get clarity on the wisdom and teachings of the mystic and seer Almine, as well as discover more about the miraculous healing modality called Belvaspata. Your host for this show is Paul.
Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate. Rough winds do shake the darling buds of May, and summer's lease hath all too short a date. Sometime too hot the eye of heaven shines, and often is his gold complexion dimmed, and every fair from fair sometime declines, by chance or nature's changing course untrimmed. But thy eternal summer shall not fade, nor lose possession of that fair thou owest. Nor shall death brag thou wanderest in his shade, when in eternal lines to time thou growest. So long as men can breathe or eyes can see, so long lives this, and this gives life to thee.
A human being is part of a whole, called by us the universe, a part limited in time and space. He experiences himself as thoughts and feelings, as something separated from the rest, a kind of optical delusion of his consciousness. This delusion is a kind of prison for us, restricting us to our personal desires and to affection for a few persons nearest us. Our task must be to free ourselves from this prison by widening our circle of compassion, to embrace all living creatures and the whole of nature in its beauty. Hello everyone, welcome to Radio Belvaspata, South Africa. I'm your host Paul for tonight's episode, and this is Thursday the 4th of May 2017. Our theme for the show is entitled The Warrior, Beginnings and Endings, and tonight we're going to be talking aspects of the year 2017, how endings and beginnings are all happening at once. We're going to talk about the warrior goddess Kali, and we're going to be looking at different aspects of life as it unfolds, including classes and audio from the mystic and Seer Almine about ascension. We're going to talk about non-conformity and the creative process, and we're going to end off tonight's show with a meditation by Almine. Absolutely exciting indeed. Doreen Virtue, the healer, tells us that the old must be released so that the new can enter. Absolutely part of the process that we're all discussing and working with, and really, really exciting. So the yogi and teacher Alex Miles, who is available on social media and on Facebook, etc., has written a beautiful post about the year of Kali, the goddess of endings and beginnings. And she says that at the turn of 2017, it seemed apparent that various aspects of life urgently needed a complete and radical overhaul, as it felt that throughout 2016 she had picked up a variety of negative and unhealthy habits, beliefs, emotions and feelings, including a few entanglements with people who really didn't have good intentions for friendship or who did not hold her best interests at heart. She knew that the time had come to let go, however, and she also knew that it was not going to be as simple or straightforward as she hoped that would be, and that it was likely going to cling to her unless she called in some divine intervention. So for her, this particular year, she called in the year of Kali, who's the goddess of endings and beginning. And it's fascinating that this year, 2017, has been denoted as the year of Kali. Now, many followers of Carly have absolute faith in her ability to discern what is going on with them, and as she has purported to remove negativity and that which is no longer needed, and to leave what is positive, healthy, and well in place. For many of us this year, and in all transparency between us right now, this last while does seem to have been really tough going, and for many people have had a great deal of trauma experienced at times. I've been seeing that many things that I believed to be true in my own life were quite simply illusions. And I've been watching as once important parts of my life disintegrated before my eyes. I'm very thankful that we are working with the eternal qualities of surrendered trust. We've spoken about this many times on the show between myself, between us and our guests. And that's been a very, very important thing for us all to be able to work with. So the goddess Kali is really the embodiment of the warrior subpersonality. So I'm grateful for the shedding of the old, and I've experienced turbulent, chaos, really stressful conditions at times, but I know it's also been filled with a great deal of love and blessings. And most importantly, it shifted and removed some of the things that I knew about, that I knew had to be shifted, but obviously was not allowing to let go. But I'm finding the last 1 or 2 months a direct absolute approach where I have no choice but to face and look at them. So if you're recognizing all of this at the moment, welcome to today's show. Welcome to the discussion around these particular aspects. We're glad that you're home with us, and we're glad that you are sharing this particular space with us right now from wherever you are around the world. And really incredible to watch our statistics grow as we look at the logistics of the show as it grows around the world, how many more followers we've got. And many, many people around the world have been commenting to us, sending us emails and messages, and we truly appreciate that. So thank you. We're glad that you find a home for an hour each week to share with us as a light family around the world. And this is not a space where we complain and moan and groan. We simply look at what is, and then we take the teachings of the mystic and Seer Almine, and we put them into place. So we are giving our own, shall we say, perspective on it. We're talking about the life experiences, but we've learned long ago that as we go through all of these things, so each one of you two are probably also experiencing it. And this is a way to support ourselves as a light family from around the world. So South African Light Family, welcome. We know that you're listening. And Light Family from around the world, thank you for staying with us. It is Thursday, the 4th of May, 2017. So these times of great ascension that we live in are not for the faint-hearted. And I'd only suggest to someone who's truly ready to let go of the old, stagnant energies that may have been weighing them down and causing suffering, as energy is really intensely powerful right now. A lot of you have been writing about Mercury and the planets in retrograde, and yes, it seems to be a complete onslaught of processes as our frequency adjusts. This cleansing that we are going through is unleashing a much-needed unstoppable storm that will not slow down until the detoxing of everything harmful in one's life is over. If one looks deeper into the goddess Kali's power, it is essential to allow oneself to authentically surrender in full trust to the ongoing process, and we need to maintain the deep awareness that the current cleansing process is not about destroying, but rather about creating and allowing the new in. So it's essential that we create and give ourselves the space to allow this all to happen for us, really giving ourselves permission for change to happen in full surrendered trust. Now, authenticity is one of the qualities that we need to understand and work on. And this week I was so happy just to watch the video by Kiara Young, and she's got her company and her platform called Young Adventures in Boundlessness up and running. On the 29th of April, she provided a beautiful YouTube on her, a video on her YouTube page and on her Facebook page called The Inner Warrior. And I'm going to ask us to listen to that now, because she really delves into the depths of how authenticity is so important at this particular time and not getting caught up in what is not real. So let's listen to this, and we'll come back to you straight after this track.
Today is an Inner Warrior Day, and I would love to go a little deeper into the nuances of what Anita expresses in her beautiful message of today. What is authenticity? Authenticity is a word that is thrown around a great deal in spiritual communities. It's become a bit of a buzzword. These days it's bandied around a lot. But what does it actually mean? Ultimately, in a nutshell, authenticity is being absolutely true to ourselves in thought, word, deed, feeling, all of our internal processes, not masking ourselves to ourselves. And when we absolutely refuse to mask ourselves to ourselves, the inevitable translation is that we then express authenticity or authentically in outer life as well. But so long as we're masking ourselves, we can't express authentically. And we're going back again to the wonderful function of the inner warrior, who plays this incredible part in safeguarding the integrity of our internal life, as we've spoken about many times before. And through safeguarding the integrity of our internal life, again, that inevitably translates into our outer expression as well. So let me give a practical example of how inauthenticity can often show itself in a very veiled way in ordinary life. Have you ever been in a situation where you've just felt a little bit off, and it might manifest, for example, as frustration or annoyance or something like that? It could even be frustration with others in your environment, or some kind of agitation, basically. And this is the way that it presents itself on the surface, only to discover later that you were actually a little bit upset, or something in your feelings had been stirred deeply, but you'd actually hidden that from yourself. I've had many situations in my life where, and others have expressed the same thing to me, where it has been the case for them, where they've discovered that the way they've presented themselves to themselves, and therefore to their outer life as well, has turned out to be a cover for what was really going on, because they were not truly facing what was really going on. Or in my own example, I wasn't truly facing what was really going on. And this, for me, has generally been the case where there have been instances where I've been really annoyed. And when I've taken the time to just kind of pull back, get still and check in with myself, it's actually that there has been some deep hurt beneath the surface, or some, not necessarily some deep hurt as in something being triggered. Let me be more specific about that. That something touched on my feelings very deeply. And because I wasn't being true to myself with regards to how I really feel about something, I was masking myself. The way that I have presented myself to life then is not true to authenticity, essentially. So authentic expression is when we are absolutely refusing to mask ourselves to ourselves. We're willing to meet ourselves where we are and embrace ourselves and face ourselves head on with regards to whatever is the true state of affairs for us in our life. Another way that this can come up quite commonly is if we have hidden difficulty with things like shame. That can present itself as something very different on the surface, where we are masking how we truly feel about something. Let's say it's shame or it's guilt or something like that. But so long as we're masking that, we are inauthentic to ourselves. Authenticity begins within. And strangely enough, contrary to what you'll find in a lot of the spiritual information that's out there says, the moment that we can simply be authentic to ourselves in recognizing how we really are in any given moment, how we're really feeling, what's really going on within us, that is authenticity. Authenticity doesn't mean that you have to be expressing in this wonderful, joyful, super high light type of way. That's not true authenticity. True authenticity is authentically being clear on what's really going on within you. So if it's a case on a particular day that you actually feel really bad, being authentically aware that that is the case and expressing from your authentic self-awareness is authenticity by definition. It doesn't mean that your expression has to be of a particular, in a particular way in order to achieve authenticity. It's simply being true to what's actually going on. And then an even deeper level than that still is being true to what's really going on. So let me give another example of this. Sometimes, as we are evolving ourselves out of the dream of separation, there can be a tendency to, as Anita describes, which I think is a brilliant explanation, story things. And what that means is as follows. Let's say that we're trying to shift some kind of thing that's played out in our life for a while, and we're maybe going through it in our head, attempting to get insights or something. there can be a tendency within ourselves to make it into a story, like the story of, I had this really terrible experience and this happened and so on. It's a story, That's what it means to story something. And sometimes what authenticity is referring to is it's referring to the need to see beneath that story. This would be the deeper level, to acknowledge the very core. So this could go in this instance. Story. There was this thing that happened and people were very mean to me, or it was very hurtful and so on. And authenticity would be to look beneath that and break it down and see, okay, what's really beneath that? What's really beneath that is a sense of feeling intensely disempowered. That's what's really authentically present in me right now. As an example, it's a sense of disempowerment. And the story has been a story around how I felt that way, and I've made it into a story of this happened and this happened and this happened. But what's at the core of it? That would be a deeper level of authenticity. And it's kind of what Anita is touching on in her message of today, where she's speaking of the more deeper metaphysical layer. And it's as we begin to tap into that deeper layer of authenticity, that true, deep authenticity that ricochets as a power source through our environment as we express from there, becomes a very, very powerful state to live within. So I invite you to contemplate these multi-layers of this concept today, and these multiple perspectives, and just see which kind of layer of it is sitting with you right now as being the immediate thing that you can take steps on with regards to evolving the function of the inner warrior today. And I wish you many blessings in doing so.
And thank you to Kiara Young from Ireland, as she shares more about authenticity through adventures in boundlessness. Some wonderful insights there to share, and so pertinent at the moment. And I think one of the major things that we need to always look at is how authentic are we being with ourselves, and how real, or how much we are denying ourselves feelings and emotions and experiences and saying that they're not real, etc., etc. But also learning not to give an identity to all of these so that the ego can then take hold. Well, 2017 is also a 1 year in numerological circles, and the number 1 signifies new beginnings. Therefore, now's the time to energetically move towards letting go of the old and getting ready for a brand new start. The number 1 represents the energy of rebirths, of fresh starts, and brings with it powerful momentum and movement when it comes to new ideas, inventions, and creations. It has a very different energetic vibration compared to last year, 2016. That was all about endings. This year, being a number 1 in numerology, which marks new beginnings, brings exciting new opportunities and possibilities. However, these will only arrive if we are willing to fully let go of the past, and if we are open to receiving the wonders of the present moment as well as the future. And I'm finding this so incredibly pertinent at the moment. I was having a conversation with my sister this morning about the same things and the processes within her company, and how they've been waiting for so long for things to come in, and it's on the edge the whole time, these wonderful deals, and yet it never really truly manifests. And she just said to her business partner yesterday, you know what, we need to walk through a door and we need to leave these things behind, and as we close these doors, things will start to come up. Obviously, it's action that's needed on her part and their part to do all of it. And that was just, a reflection and a discussion. So absolutely incredible to watch people going through all of this. And I'm sure you, as the listener today, are actually understanding this for yourself. The most important themes during this 1 year are, of course, flexibility and resilience, so that we are mentally, emotionally, and physically able to effortlessly accept and adapt to the continuous change that is constantly floating our way. Kali, as the most powerful but misunderstood Hindu goddess, is the embodiment of Mother Nature. She is the goddess of life, death, transformation, destruction, endings, and beginnings. And so for me, the image of the goddess Kali comes up as the warrior goddess, and requiring each one of us to be authentic in each moment in our surrendered trust. This goddess carries a sword of knowledge along with a severed head that symbolizes the ego in mythology and in a lot of paintings and statues. Quite a fierce feminine warrior energy there. She opens our eyes so that we see our situations with clarity, and she gives to us the insight to firmly make decisions. She also does not bow down to societal demands and expectations. She has her own moral code and ethical standards, and she asks us to let go of any preconceived notions that we may have previously held about how we hoped or expected things should be. And she asks that we keep our mind positive and hopeful for the best possible outcome. She encourages us to trust in the process and accept universal order, despite how challenging it may feel. Often we want to hold on to people, onto beliefs, onto habits or circumstances, even though they are unhealthy and dysfunctional, simply because they feel familiar and change can feel difficult, unsettling and chaotic. Endings are a natural part of the cycle and circles of life, and when we fear them we remain stagnant and halt our own unique evolutionary dance. Everything is energy that constantly vibrates. It is simply not possible for anything to eternally remain exactly the same. When something changes and comes to an end, it just means room and space is being created so that something exciting and new can begin. You knew that, didn't you? Often what seems to be a loss is actually the start of a beautiful new phase in our lives. So let's find the courage to release our attachment to things, to anybody, to anyone that causes us harm in any way. And in doing this, we can create space to invite new and positive experiences. So in venturing beyond our fears, we gain the opportunity to see things in a new light, so that we can then unhook ourselves from anyone or anything that has been holding us hostage due to oppression or fear. I'm learning a lot of those particular processes at the moment. Things are happening, processes are coming to place, and it's only during that I realize what I've actually been holding on to. So, everything is perfect in the process, and we need to see always that aspect of perfection. But boy, I'm learning lessons about myself that I might be holding particular space in a certain way, but then others are coming to come and teach me and show me all of those things. And that for me greatly excites me. I really love that particular process. But I must say, it's taking every ounce of trust that I've left in me to surrender to this whole process of the warrior energy through 2017. And we mustn't forget that the Seer Almine taught us about the fact that we are in a time of high magic. And this state of ascension means that we are working in so many different frequencies of the magenta, of the violet, and of the white light. The mystic and Seer Almine talks about truth and transparency, and she says, where only truth in the form of authenticity is expressed, the nature of your being is complete transparency. See a door open behind your navel and allow a powerful light source to shine through, starting with red, then orange, then yellow, etc. When you've ended with the last color of the rainbow, also use turquoise and magenta, then white light. See and allow any dark spots or occlusions to burn away as the light bathes your body and its fields. Let's listen now to the Seer Almine as she talks about what is ascension and reminds us of that particular process.
In answering some of the questions that are directed to us through our email list, one of the very prevalent questions is, what is ascension? The term is bandied about a lot, but what does it actually mean? Well, the interesting thing of it is that the meaning of it has changed as we have partaken in ascension as an entire planet and as a cosmos, because things changed as a result. Let's take a look at what it was so we can better understand now what it is. For very many thousands of years, those that have mastered the dialogue in their heads, producing the silence of the mind, those we called masters, had in fact managed from all creeds and all races to enter what's called the ascended mastery realms. Previously, our spirit realms, where people go when they die, had two levels called by the Egyptians Duat and Sekhet Hepspet. In February of 2005, the veil between those two realms opened, allowing them to be free and intermingle. Then, above that, again guarded by angels and lords, so that those that are unworthy cannot enter, was in fact the ascended mastery realms. Those masters that had overcome death entered there. Their body vibrated to a higher and higher and higher level until it disappeared from view for the average human and actually vibrated itself into the realms of the ascended masters, thousands of them that have overcome death while in the flesh. That meant they did not leave their body behind, because of course that is death. Resurrection is when the body has died, but yet again is made alive because the spirit re-enters. But in 2008, during the first months of it, the Mother Goddess and the Father decreed that the earth and the cosmos would no longer travel anywhere. They would have no need to go anywhere other than where they are. For all formed life in other cosmoses had completely been assimilated by the earth and the cosmos upon their journey. In other words, a bit like the caterpillar on the edge of the leaf that takes bites out of the leaf, the cosmos took bites out of areas where there was formed life, incorporating it until finally all there is our cosmos, and outside of it, mind at rest. Well, now what does ascension mean? Ascension now means that you stay right where you are, which is something that Mother has instructed ascended masters to do during 2006, 2007, and 2008. Many of the masters that I work with that are becoming ascended masters, they stay right here, become more and more light-filled, like our cosmos. It has nowhere left to go. It has assimilated all other realms. And now there is just an endless becoming of more light, more awareness, and more love. And so even the word ascension has changed from what it used to be.
And you're back in studio with Radio Belvaspatar, South Africa, broadcasting live here on the 4th of May, 2017. You may have noticed that I've got my dates right. Thankfully, Nico, handling our sound desk, he now gives us a date on the actual screen in front of me just to remind me every time, and I appreciate him taking that care to do all of that. Quite wonderful. Thank you so much. So there the Seer Almine was reminding us about ascension, that it is here that all realities have now merged. But, I keep having to work on all this. I keep having to understand that particular process, and I keep having to allow the old belief systems just to dissolve and fade away as I stand refreshed in each moment and working towards allowing the perfection of that experience and nothing else to cloud the experience. It is a continuous amount of work that needs to be done. And people around the world and listeners around the world, please, if you're identifying with what we're sharing today, let us know. We'd love to hear from you. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we have a website, belvaspatar.co.za, and we have email, which is info@belvaspatar.co.za. We love to hear from you, and thank you for sharing, and thank you for following us. If you're not following at the moment, please just go up and press the follow button, and then every time we broadcast show every Thursday, you'll get a reminder either by email or on your smartphone. So the rune prediction for this week of May the 1st ending the 7th of 2017 is fascinating because it brings everything up into place for us in terms of the work that we need to do and to look at. Listen to this. At the beginning of the last month of spring, allow yourself to return to elegant simplicity. Nature is a wonderful helper in remembering and obtaining the most elegant moments in simple expression. Become a courageous trailblazer in your life. Bring something new to every moment. Step onto an unknown journey. Have new experiences. Life unfolds in its pristineness and innocence with the newness of each moment. Something needs to be weeded out of your life. It could be an obsolete coping mechanism or a viewpoint of your own or incompatible players in your environment. Something new is being conceived, advantageous new beginnings. Allow the most beautiful and exquisite creations to birth into your life. Feel the empowering perception of the environment as an expression of the self. Take self-responsibility for everything that expresses in your reality. By appreciating the contributions of diversity, you allow unforeseen contributions to express in your reality. Make every thought and action an artful expression. Realize that the fields of perception are the created space for artistic expression. And that was the weekly prediction based on the sacred runes of the Infinite Mother and compiled by the Grand Master of the Runes, Ella Jelinek, of the Russian Light family, working through the teachings of the mystic and Seer Almine. Right, we've got another lovely bit of audio coming up from TV personality Jason Silva, who inspires us as he talks about non-conformity and the creative life.
So one of the prevailing motifs here on Shots of Awe is, as human beings, as conscious agents, how do we resolve the inherent tension between wanting to fully realize our potential, to realize ourselves as individuals who stand with dignity, and resist the tug of conformity? How do we avoid succumbing to a zombified trance state of blindly following others in a herd, as sheep, as hamsters in a hamster wheel? And, it's funny because I think that the way we resolve that is by taking that plunge, by answering that call that Joseph Campbell talks about. There is no one map for how to live our lives. Reality is just a word, and you're not supposed to use it without quotation marks around it anyway, as Joseph Campbell says. We are all free to create our own reality, but it's only when we are bold enough to decondition our thinking, to transcend what Robert Anton Wilson calls the reality tunnel, right? This linguistic and conceptual and symbolic framework that constructs reality, this animatrix pulled in front of your eyes, blinding you from ecstatic visions of what might be behind those walls. We are larvas who haven't turned ourselves into butterflies yet. And there's that great line by Nietzsche that says, those who were seen dancing were called insane by those who could not hear the music. Never forget the words of Jack Kerouac. The only people for me are the mad ones. Mad to live, mad to talk, mad to be saved, desirous of everything at the same time. Those who never yawn or say a commonplace thing, but burn, burn, burn like yellow Roman candles exploding like spiders across the sky.
Thank you for staying with us. This is Radio Belvaspata, South Africa. And there we were listening to TV personality Jason Silva, who has the most amazing amount of beautiful wisdom that he shares on his Shots of Awe via his website or on YouTube. Go and have a good listen. There he was speaking about non-conformity and the creative life. And I think that's something we need to really look at very deep within, about this aspect of wanting to conform and work with when it's absolutely impossible, because our role, your role, all our role is completely different, and we are non-conformists. If we were, we would be doing something completely different and not listening to this show right now. So 3 different studies have done by different teams of scientists have proved something really extraordinary. They've proven that human emotion physically shapes reality. The they're saying that human emotion literally shapes the world around us, not just our perception of the world, but reality itself. So in the first experiment, human DNA, which was isolated in a sealed container, was placed near a test subject. Scientists gave the donor emotional stimulus, and fascinatingly enough, the emotions affected the DNA, which was held separate in the other room. In the presence of negative emotions, the DNA tightened. In the presence of positive emotions, the coils of the DNA relaxed. The scientists could conclude that human emotion produces effects which defy conventional laws of physics. So in the second, similar but unrelated experiment, different groups of scientists extracted what's known as leukocytes, or white blood cells, from donors and placed them into chambers so they could measure electrical changes. In this experiment, the donor was placed in one room and subjected to what is called emotional stimulation, consisting of simple video clips, and these generated different emotions within the donor. The DNA was placed in different rooms in the same building. Both the donor and his DNA were monitored, and as the donor exhibited emotional peaks or valleys, which were measured by electrical responses, the DNA exhibited the identical responses at exactly the same time. There was no lag time, no transmission time. The DNA peaks and valleys exactly matched the peaks and valleys of the donor in the same time frames. So the scientists wanted to see how far away they could separate the donor from his DNA and still get this effect. They stopped testing after they separated the DNA and the donor by 50 miles, and still they had the same result. There was no lag time, no transmission time, identical responses. They had the same identical responses each time. The conclusion is obviously that the donor and the DNA can communicate beyond time and space. So, absolutely incredible. Watching that human DNA inserted into a vacuum can still respond to its donor. And this is just fascinating me, and this whole process coming up and working along there. So obviously we create our reality by choosing it with our feelings. But let's just take that one step closer or further on. As we look into the teachings of the Seer Almine, we know that we don't really work with the aspects of thoughts and feelings as they know, because these are all results of programming and belief systems, that we feel something because of a perception, because of a belief system. And we know that the work through the Seer Almine and her teachings, as we move into the cutting edge of dissolving the matrices of belief, cosmically and cosmically, I suppose, around us, is that we learn to live in a higher ascended state where the emotional state is of a much higher level. So this is fascinating as we look at all of this, and wouldn't it be interesting to see if we could take some DNA from a donor such as the Seer Almine and put that through the same experiment and watch those realities that are shifting. I know that there's been lots of this work done within light and aura readings within the teachings or the work of the healing modality of Bell Vaspata healing, and that has all been recorded. But I think it would be wonderful if we could just take this one step further and take some of the masters of the world working with these teachings, and especially the Seer Almine, who leads us through a doorway day after day after day, just incredibly beautifully. Wouldn't it be amazing if we could actually just have a look and see all of that is going on? But I've said for a long time that if we went and did a DNA test, we would see that we are no longer two-stranded DNA beings, that our DNA has actually multiplied on so many different levels as all the pathways of frequency and light begin to shift and change as we're going along. So let's look at all of that. But their science has now proven and defied conventional laws of physics. It has now proven that we are literally able to create a reality through feelings. So, have you ever wanted to do a meditation with the Haraknit, which Almine teaches? Well, today you can, because we've taken this straight from Almine's online course, Revisiting the Labyrinth, and this meditation can be used to both enter the Haraknit and to find your center. Living from your center is the key to authentic living. The Haraknit has been described as a window, as a decompression chamber, if you will, from formed life into the infinite ocean beyond duality. And it is located within the human body. Enjoy this meditation, and let's just look at the whole process. Remember, you can go online, you can go to Almine Diary or spiritualjourneys.com, and you can just look at the special wheels that are used to work with the Hurricane. But for now, let's just enjoy this wonderful beginning of our weekend with this meditation. It is a 20-minute meditation, so we will be signing out shortly after we've done this, and we are bringing this meditation in on purpose so that we can allow a different reality to emerge within ourselves and use the teachings of the Seer Almine just to support this journey of absolute huge Kali-like goddess warrior change as we learn to live more authentically in who we are in a centered state of being. So for the next 20 minutes, we're having this meditation. And please, if you are driving, having downloaded this, we do suggest is that you switch it off and listen to it again later. But if you're listening live or in a quiet space by yourself, then close your eyes and let's begin the journey of entering the Hurricane, coming home to ourselves and living from the core of authenticity.
Is your playground, and spaceless space is your life. Take deep breaths. Feel your body relax. Of a deathless life, a beginningless existence. As you enter total relaxation, imagine your belly button as a door. The center of a circle through which you can fold yourself. The way a tube torus folds through its middle. Stay in your relaxed state. And just gently become aware of your navel, your belly button, as an opening into spaceless space. formless form, a place of no opposites, the Hurricane. Feel yourself pour through this opening in your belly button area, the way you would pour milk through a funnel, a liquid through an opening. As you pour through, you are entering the Hurricane. It is here where life forms instantly through you. It is the ante-chamber to infinite life. From here, as you connect with the depth of oneness, you are in spaceless space. It has no boundaries. Yet, it is the stage of life, accentuated merely because of heightened qualities of infinite life that is present here. Yet, even the words here are meaningless where there is no space. Rewrite your life, if you will. But all you can know is the present unfolding of abundant life. Through you, abundance, exquisite beauty, and perfection reveals itself. No need to plan your life, for it cannot be planned. Allow yourself instead to enjoy that which you are now. Formless, yet formed. Perfect, exquisite, eternally young. Fluidly changing as you will. Dancing with life, completely surrendered to the depth of beingness. is a resource to all life. Nothing to plan, just to be. And through you flows eternity. From here you can live all your eternal life long. For this is mastery that interprets the infinite's song of life. Allow yourself just to be a being of all eternity. All lives you are. When you have completed this meditation, as long as you wish to go, you will merely be re-emphasizing the one you know as your own life. Live each day from the hurricane, and all shall fall into place.
And there we were listening to a beautiful meditation from the mystic and Seer Almine called Coming Home to Yourself, Living from the Core of Authenticity. It's available on YouTube, so it can be downloaded and converted if you wish to use it on your players or for your own personal use there. If you've been onto the Lightworkers subscription service that Almine provides, there's a message now out about ghostly thought forms. And this may be just, in the domain that we're discussing at this moment in time about the warrior and about clearing illusions and creating boundaries for the self and working with all of these particular processes. So there's something worth going on there. Go over to Lightworkers, Almine subscription platform, and you can read all of that as you're going along. Now, as we talked about all tonight, we've talked about all the processes, all the drama and trauma, all the work that we've had to do on ourselves. Let's see what's coming up in the week ahead as we close our show off for tonight. Right, so Almine's weekly prediction for the May 8th to 14th is entitled Our Cosmic Soul Counterpart. Almine says, the resurrection that begun here on earth has this week finally rippled out throughout the cosmos of individuated life. The physical cosmos is uniting with the parallel universe that is its soul counterpart. This will create a feeling of coming home to the deep inner peace. This is a monumental event that hasn't happened ever before. Slow down this coming week. Feel the roots of nature or of doing home-based things that bring you satisfaction. Take time for solitude. Absolutely beautiful. So our cosmic soul counterpart, lots of shifts and changes coming up for us. And at last, some of that deep peace and contentment coming into the self that we can actually work with and allow to then manifest within our entire being. So that's really our show for tonight. I'd like to tell you that fellow Team Belvaspata South Africa member Michelle is in Vienna, and she found herself walking through an amazing maze today. So she was sharing all of that with me over WhatsApp earlier this morning. It was absolutely incredible watching the synchronicity of all that process. So happy trip to Vienna and then off to Paris with you, Michelle. Really have a wonderful time. Thank you to Nika for handling our sound desk today and giving us a flawless show as we went through it bit by bit along the way. The Seer Almine tells us, dance now in lightness to the song of life. The heavy burdens you have carried have prepared you for this. From being weighted down comes the knowledge of flight. Only then can you know the knowledge of lightness. It is time to dance. It is time to fly. And that's the Seer Almine. Thank you very much for joining us. We hope that you have found a supportive, insightful, and self-sovereign home with us here on Radio Belvaspata South Africa. Join us each week as we gain insights, as we share information, as we share audio, as we share everybody's work from around the world together, and we put it all together. Today is all about authenticity and living in the realness of that particular experience. If you have questions, please let us know. If you have any comments, please let us know as well. Please share and follow us on Instagram, on Facebook, and of course on all the other channels that we have, such as our website, etc. We'd love to hear from you. Right, closing track. We're out. We're done for the night. Thank you very much. Wishing you all a beautiful week as we work with our cosmic soul counterpart. And this is Paul, your host for tonight's show of Radio Belvaspata South Africa, saying goodbye, love, praise, and eternal gratitude in surrendered trust. Goodbye.
You've been listening to Radio Belvaspata South Africa. Thank you for listening and sharing in our discussion. Should you have any questions with regards to the healing modality of Belvaspata or have any healing needs, please send us an email to info@belvaspata.co.za or add comments to our page on Spreaker.com so we can work on providing a suitable response. We now close this episode with the eternal ascension qualities of love, praise, gratitude and trust, and look forward to sharing again with you next week. Goodbye.